Hey, two picklers, Tony coming to you today from Clearwater. I'm about ready to drill with Jill back here on the court, but I wanted to get you guys a video on angles and understanding angles on the court, and also give you some specific examples of how angles are important in terms of how you move on the court. So let's get into it. To help us understand angles, we're going to use this board here with the pickleball court and the players on it. What we have here is we have the serving team is going to be up here. So this player is serving across to this player over here is the returner. So you have the non-volley zone player, the returner, and the two servers are back. So basically the way the point would work is the server obviously would serve here. Let's say the returner in this situation returns the ball here, and then the returner would be moving up to the no volley zone. At this point, this player has three different options that she can hit in order to deliver the ball or to send the ball to attack the return team. One option is down the middle here. So this would be one option. Another option would be over here, and another option is over here. So anytime you're playing a point, there's always going to be three possible angles that are available. Maybe sometimes, you know, some more than others. So like, you know, for instance, if this player was standing over here, the middle would be open more than this side. If the player was over here, then this side will be open more than the middle. But no matter what, there's always going to be three possible angles. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the three possible angles and discuss relative importance of the angles, and then how you should move to cover those angles. We'll give you some specific examples towards the end of the video about specific situations and how you move in order to make sure you cover the most important angles and give yourself the best chance to stop the opposing team from winning the point. Before we get into specific examples of how to cover certain angles or certain strategies that are helpful to cover angles, let's talk about the three angles in a little more detail. So let's put the ball here in this position because it'll help us explain the angles. And what we're going to talk about is the three angles again that we talked about a minute ago, which is basically this middle angle here, you have this angle here, and you have this angle here. Let's talk about them in order. So the middle angle here, that's where the action happens on the pickleball court. This is where a lot of the action happens. This is the safest place for them to hit the ball. The reason being, this out of bounds doesn't come into play if they hit the ball down the middle. The net is also lower, it's 2 inches lower down the middle, so an attack here, a drive there can be hit lower, and as it crosses the net, it's harder on these two players to hit it than it is over here and over here, because over here the ball has to be hit higher at 36 inches. There's a lot of reasons why the middle is where a lot of attacks happen. So what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that this area here, this middle area here, is covered at all times. If you think about the three different angles in terms of importance, the middle angle is all the way up here. The next angle will be all the way down here. So never get beat down the middle. Second angle that this player can attack is this down the line angle. If you look here, you can see that the ability to attack here is a long angle. It's a long space that she can attack. And so that means that this angle here, which extends down to here, just like the middle extends down to here, is the second area that you want to cover. So you want to cover this one is number one, this area is number two. So this is the number one angle, this is the number two angle that you want to cover. The third angle is this area over here. Now, looking at it from here, it looks like something like this is open, basically. So you would think that this is the area that's open. Leaving, you know, you've covered this area here, you've covered this area here. Now this area is open to attack, but that's actually not accurate, because what you have to do is you have to consider the net. So if you consider the net area, you know, that place where that player would end up hitting the net, you're basically going to carve out an area roughly like that. So basically what that does is it leaves a very small area that's open to attack. That's fine. This is the third area that you'd want to cover, but you can't cover it because you're covering 1 and 2. 3's open. If this player beats you down here with a winning shot down into this area here, that's perfectly fine. If you have to pick one area to leave uncovered, leave number 3 uncovered. Never leave 1 uncovered. Second, don't leave number 2 uncovered. 3, uncovered is fine. They can beat you there. Let's look at an example with a short return. So here the serve has been executed. A short return has been hit here. This player in this situation can drive the ball, is coming up to attack the ball. His partner's moving up. This player has already started moving up, but say is around here. What happens is this player can attack several different spots. If this player believes that the player can hit a winning shot, the player can attack here. The player can attack here as an angle or attack here as an open angle. In this situation, the player can also go at this player. It's a fine shot, but for purpose of today, let's focus on these angles. What you don't want to do as the return team is you don't want to allow this this player to win the point down here. What happens a lot of times is this player will be playing over here. That shot is executed, and when the shot is executed, it comes across the middle like this, and this player is still moving up, and ends up with the ball here, as opposed to this player covering the ball up here. That's what we call covering the middle, and I'll link to a video that explains that more in detail. But this is an example of why you want to cover the middle, is because you do not want this angle to be attacked. So that's one particular situation of understanding the angles and why you don't want that angle to be open. Now that you understand the importance of the middle when this player is moving up, let's bring everybody up to the no volley zone here. And then what we'll do is let's talk about what happens in certain situations and how you should move as the player that is not hitting the ball to make sure you cover as much court as possible, or make it as difficult as possible for your opponents to win the point. So what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at a situation where this player, say, has a setup dink here, a high dink or ball that they can attack, hit what we call an aggro dink, and I'll link to a video on that. So this player is going to move into here and hit an aggro dink that is basically going to stretch this player over here now. So the ball bounces here, and now the ball is actually going to be hit out here. So this player has hit this ball, moved over here. This player has shifted over because of what's happening. This player now is basically off the court over here, trying to address this ball that's all the way over here. A mistake that is common is this player remains relatively static. In other words, this player remains in this spot. That's an error. Another thing is that if this player just slides over like this, it's not as good of a coverage as if this player, instead of doing that, slides back into this spot here. What happens here is now this player is playing like center field for a baseballer, so basically this player is moved back. If this player gets in trouble, basically pops it up or does something or hits a ball that's subject to attack, this player here then covers as much of the court as possible, forcing these players to hit a winner over here or jam it between the two players. If the player stays here, all of this area here remains open. This player comes over here. Now this area is no longer open. Now the attack is over here, which is a harder attack and could end up out of bounds. So what you want to do here is if your partner gets stretched this way, is come back into this position and help your partner out. The other thing is this position here will allow this player to execute the possibility of executing a lob. So what happens is this player can execute a lob over here, try and get it over these opponents over here. But if the ball's a little short, say the ball's here and this player comes over to attack it, this player being here is going to give you the best chance to defend against this sort of attack. What's important to remember is not just the tether. So everybody, has heard about the tether between the two players. As this player moves like there's a rope between them. That's a perfectly fine concept and something you should do. But understand that when this player is under significant stress, so this player has been pulled off the court or is under significant stress in a difficult position, this player should move into a more defensive position here or here to basically allow this player to cover the vast majority of the middle of the court. Remember, middle of the court, number one angle you want to close down. If they beat you here, that's just life, that's just the point. Here's where you don't want to let them beat you. Let's look at one last situation where understanding the angles will make a difference to your defense. In this situation, I have this player here, has a ball here that this player is going to attack. You can tell that this player is going to attack this ball. And what you don't want to do is allow this player to attack the ball in here. So what you want to do is make sure that this player has shifted over to cover here, and this player has shifted over a little bit to cover here. So basically what you want to do is you want to make sure that this is perfectly closed down. Make the player beat you here or make the player beat you here. Do not let the player beat you down this middle zone here. Again, it's a vastly more important angle, this one here, than this one or this one. So this one again would be up here in importance, and these other angles would be here and here in importance. So this angle here, understanding that and making sure that you move to cover this here and not let the ball travel through there or beat you down there is really going to improve your game. Understanding the angles on the court and the relative importance of 1, 2, and 3 will help you as you develop in this sport, and will help you make sure that you're covering the angles that are the highest percentage as attack points. The middle is always going to be the highest percentage attack for your opponents. The down the line will be the second highest percentage attack, and this little sliver over here will be the third highest percentage or the lowest percentage for your opponents. So leave the lowest percentage area open to your opponents and cover the ones that are really where they can hurt you. I hope you find this video on angles helpful. If you found it helpful and you'd like to see more information like this, make sure you subscribe below. Next time you're out there playing, just make sure that you're moving with the ball and that you're understanding the angles that are open and subject to attack. If you get beat down the middle, which will happen, so if you get beat down the middle in a point, just take some time to reflect about why you got beat down the middle and think of a different position, maybe like this, like we talked about, or coming over like this, just to make sure that the middle isn't open for business and your opponents can't beat you down the middle. Good luck out there.